Hi everyone, this is Vladi from Ausgeknipst, and in this quick video tutorial I will show you everything you need to know to use your Canon A1. The A1 is the semi-pro variant of the very popular Canon AE-1. What differentiates those two cameras is mainly the A1's ability to shoot in full auto program mode. In this tutorial, I will show you how to insert and what battery to use with the Canon A1, how to change lenses on the camera, how to load film. I will explain you all the buttons and dials and controls you can find on the body. I will explain how to set aperture on the lens, how to set shutter speed on the camera, and how to set ISO to get proper exposure, how to focus and compose your image, take a shot, and lastly rewind the film to send it to the lab. But let's start with an overview of all the buttons and dials. The A1 is a pretty complex SLR with lots of controls. Starting on the front left, we have a action grip that I'm going to remove now. Actually, this is one that we made ourselves. If you are missing one and want a little better grip for your camera, you can buy it in our store. I'll leave the link in the description below together with all the other accessories, light seals and so on that I'll mention. So when you take off the action grip, you can see and access the battery chamber here. The Canon A1 uses a so-called VPX28 battery. It's 6-volt silver oxide, which can be replaced by the modern alternative, which is the 4LR44 6 volts alkaline battery. Yet I prefer using this little adapter that we sell, which simply uses for standard LR44 button cells, which are widely available. You can buy them at any supermarket for very cheap. So I'm using this adapter together with the button cells. You can also buy such a 4LR44 battery in any camera store online. Let me insert the battery. The plus side goes up as the indicator inside shows. The contacts need to be clean. If the camera, if you bought it used, you have to scratch them a little and clean them if they're dirty, or otherwise the camera may malfunction. Insert the battery adapter here, close the door. The battery door, as with the Canon AE-1, is a weak spot on those A-series cameras. This one you can see is already replaced. If your A1 has a broken battery door, you can find a video in our YouTube channel on how to replace the battery door. But it will also work with a broken door, so you know. Now we come to the lens mount. It's a Canon FD lens mount, which is a very nice mount. Gives you lots of options, lots of different beautiful lenses you can use. This one is a standard 50mm 1.8 lens, which is affordable but gives you great image quality and is a very good lens for starters. Just twist lock it, turn it counterclockwise, align those red dots, twist it, and it's positioned. Now going to the right front of the camera, we have a aperture step down lever. Just to be clear, you don't have to remember and know all the buttons and dials on the camera. You just need to know the basics, the ones you really need. To be honest, I never use the buttons here when using this camera, but just so you know, Here you have a light meter activation, which is basically the same as half pressing the shutter, and a compensation for harsh sunlight from the front for exposure compensation. You have a PC sync port, some strap attachments. Going to the top, you have your ASA tile with adjustments. You can unlock the EV compensation here with this button, or you can unlock the ISO selector with this little button here. Then you can twist and adjust the ISO, which we will do later on. You have a battery check button here. You have a display turn off switch. So if your display is not working properly, you should use this switch. You can set blinders to the viewfinder, which is commonly used when shooting longer exposures with a tripod. You have a tripod attachment at the bottom. The rewind knob, the rewind release. Then you have your, which is probably the most important dial here, the mode selector. You can choose between AV mode, which means select aperture and camera chooses the shutter speed automatically, or select the shutter speed and camera chooses the aperture. And plus, here on the TV mode, you also can switch it to P, which means that if you set the aperture on the lens to auto and the shutter speed pre-selector to P, the camera works in full auto mode, as I told you at the beginning. Here you just simply can lock the shutter button so you don't accidentally expose an image. Plus you have a 2 and 10 second self-timer option here. You have your shutter advance and a double exposure lever. That's it. Now let's load some film. To open the back door, as usual with those SLRs, pull up the lever, the rewind lever, open the film back. Now is also a good time to check if the light seals of the camera are intact. We already changed the seals on this camera. Usually the hinge seals here and the backdoor groove seals, top and bottom, need to be replaced on those A-series cameras. We also have a YouTube video that shows the process of replacing the light seals on our YouTube channel if you're interested. But now let's just take some film. This is a 100 ISO film, as you can see on the canister. Now, before inserting the film, loading the film, I can set the ISO so that I don't forget it afterwards. It's already set to 100, as you can see. I could change it by pressing this little knob and turning it. But it's 100, which is fine with this film. Pull up the knob like this, insert the film, pull the film over the shutter, don't touch the shutter plane, insert the leader into the slit of the take-up spool. Now hold the film with your left thumb in place while releasing the shutter and slowly advancing the film to check if the film is probably loaded, which it didn't do, which is probably nice, so I can show you how a not proper loaded film looks like. I'll pull it back now and try it again. So again, insert it like this. Hold it with your left thumb, release the shutter, advance. It slipped out again, which probably it does due to the fact that I already used this film so often for those demos. Let me take another one. This one's fresh. It's a 200 ISO, so I would have to adjust the ISO accordingly if I were to use this film, but for demo purposes this is fine. Insert it into this slit. Hold it, advance, and here we go. This is how it should look like. Advance 2 times, close the door, and release. Now you have to advance 2 more times to get to the unexposed area of the film. Meanwhile, to be sure that you loaded the film properly, check the rewind if it turns together with advancing the film on the second time. Let's see if it moves. Now it starts moving, as you see, and I know that the take-up spool is also unwinding the film. Nice. We loaded the film. We've set the ISO. Let me set it to 200 as we changed the film. Like that. It's now set to 200. The compensation is set to 1, which is correct. Means we don't compensate for over or under exposure. We've loaded the film, set the ISO. Now we can choose what mode to use. So either we set the full auto mode if you don't want to fiddle around with the settings, set it to TV, P and A on the lens. Now camera chooses aperture and shutter speed for you. Or you can set it to the lens to A, which means aperture is set automatically by the camera and shutter speed is chosen by you. For example, I choose now 160 for a second with a automatically set aperture. Let's see what it proposed. Now let's take a look inside the viewfinder. You have a little LED here and it tells you, I can read it on my small screen, maybe you can see it, what combination of like the shutter speed 1/60th of a second plus which aperture it chooses, or I set it to aperture priority for it to function properly. I also need to set the lens to A mode, and now the camera, like I set it to f11, and now the camera will suggest a shutter speed. So, and try to expose the image correctly. This is the setting part. Now when it comes to focusing, it's obviously a manual focus camera. To focus, you just turn the front ring of the lens. You also have the you can also use zone focusing here. For example, if I step down the aperture to f16, which is a pretty step down aperture, I can look at those little 16th marks left and right. And for example, if I set the right 16th to infinity, I know that everything between 2.5 meters and infinity will be in focus, which is nice if you're doing fast shooting like in street photography. Otherwise, you also have a split screen in the viewfinder. I can't show you directly how it works. Basically, you have those two little half circles, and when you turn the focus of the lens and focus on a line, for example, the subject that is in focus, the line aligns, becomes one single line instead of being split into two. Hope you understand what I mean. To take a photo, just press the shutter, advance, press the shutter. You have a little display here that shows how many of your shots you already used up. Depending on the film you chose, you will have either 24 or 36 exposures. After you've shot all your film and the camera won't advance any longer, unlock the rewind mechanism with this little safety button at the bottom of the camera. Pull up the rewind lever, look at the direction the arrow is showing you, and start winding the film back into the canister until you don't feel any more resistance. Then you know the film is safely back in the canister. Pull up the rewind lever and you can take out the film, drop it off at your favorite lab. That's it for today. Hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions left, please leave a comment and I will try to answer it. Other than that, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.